Hey everyone, thank you so much for clicking on this review. The fact that you are willing to sacrifice a few minutes out of your day to consume my content really does mean the world to me. For those of you that are unaware, I try to review everything that gets released. And if you're curious about a new movie, series, or show, if you want to know if it's good or not, come to my channel and I will let you know. Guys, I know it's actually been quite a while since you have seen my face. I've been doing a lot of video essays recently, but I just finished watching Black Adam. Wow. This was a movie that I was actually incredibly nervous about. I saw tons and tons of articles, especially talking about Rotten Tomatoes, talking about how much everyone disliked this movie. And so I went in quite worried. I wanted this to succeed. I'm a massive DC fanboy. I mean, just look at my shelves. I love DC. And so I was really hoping that this movie would succeed. The DCEU has such a freaking rocky path. And I just felt like DC needed to win. And this movie is definitely a win. So of course, we're going to be talking about Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, as Black Adam. We're going to be talking about an incredibly, surprising take on the character. If you read the comics at all, Black Adam is not a good guy. Not a good guy. He's in many intents, for all intents and purposes, he's just a villain. This movie tries to paint him more as an anti-hero. And I think they did that really well. I was very worried about that element of the character. I mean, we don't want him to be a complete removal from his comic book counterparts, but this movie did a great job of remaining gritty and dark. I remember reading somewhere that when the draft was originally shown to reviewers, it got an R rating and they had to re-edit it. And you can see that in this movie. The combat sequences are brutal, they're harsh, and you can see where they've had it cut out from the movie because it really does get a little bit too intense at times. So I understand why they had to dial that back. But that is something that definitely sets this movie apart from the more cliche movies we've been seeing lately. It is brutal. So guys, that was just a brief intro. I want to break down basically now the things I loved about the movie. I'll go into detail. Then there were two things I really didn't particularly enjoy about the movie, but on the whole, I thought it was really great. Of course, we've already broken it down a little bit, but the choreography and the action sequences was amazing. The performances were good. The story was surprisingly deep, much deeper than I was expecting it to be. And the themes it tackles some hectic themes. And finally, diversity. But not in a way that Marvel's been doing it lately. Marvel has been very, preachy, shoving stuff down people's throats. Very politically correct. And like, cool, if you support them, then awesome. But you can also understand that the way they're going about doing stuff isn't well written. Phase 4 has been the biggest joke in the history of, cinema when it comes to the superhero genre. And this movie just did it right. We have a very diverse cast in this movie, but never once does it feel like this movie's pushing a political agenda. Never once do you go, oh, flip. Well, this character is just being cast because of their race or their gender or their ethnic background. Everyone here feels organic to the story, and that was so nice to experience. Diverse cast, but not, politically correct, not forcing stuff down your throat. It was so much fun to watch in that regard. Yes, we had some great performances, but there were also some that were a little bit, they left a lot to be desired. And I'm going to break down the performances a little bit in one of the sections I didn't like either. Another thing that was so great about this movie, yes, there were moments that were funny, but this movie never overdid it with the comedy. It was fine with having a tongue-in-cheek joke every now and again, but it was willing to be dark and brooding and just be a movie. Flip. And I'm so grateful for that. Marvel recently, and I know I've been picking on Marvel a lot, but honestly, I feel like my wife actually said this, I'm going to quote her now. This movie blew Marvel away. Everything that's wrong about Marvel, this movie did right. And I stand by that. This movie was great. It shows everything that's wrong with Marvel. And the jokes were a part of that. I mean, we all know about flipping Thor, Love and Thunder. They needed to dial back on those jokes and let the darkness through. And this movie was willing to do that. It did let the darkness through. I just have to say, besides Black Adam just being a freaking badass, and we all know that The Rock is actually badass, we had Hawkman, who was just freaking badass. I've never been the biggest fan of Hawkman. Again, he's part of the DC universe. I know a lot about him, but he's never been a character I'm excited about. After watching this movie, I want a solo Hawkman movie. And then Dr. Fate was also just brilliant. I've always loved Pierce Brosnan, but this might be one of my favorite roles that he's ever done. So great performances. And the themes it tackles are dark. Themes of family, forgiveness, vengeance, the idea of justice. All of that is tackled in this movie. This movie isn't afraid to get dark and really tackle some hectic, dark themes. The things I didn't enjoy about the movie as much, I mentioned the performances, but in particular, there's two scenes where you can notice some very noticeable dubbing. And I was sitting there going, his mouth isn't even moving. Why the hell is the character speaking? That was annoying. And it happened in a few different scenes. And then also, there's entire scenes where you can see that the character is supposed to be speaking, but it's a completely different voice coming out of his mouth. So there are moments like that where I was like, how did you guys screw up on that? And then the opening sequence is all done through narration, but it didn't need to be. Everything was so self-explanatory, and there were entire sequences that could have just been silence, and we go, cool, we understand what's happening. So it felt very, very frustrating starting the movie off on that, kind of like that back foot of going, oh, stuff, are they going to oversimplify everything? Are they just going to explain everything to us like we're children, like we don't understand what's happening? But thankfully, the movie really sorted itself out very, very, very quickly. So yes, guys, this has got me feeling very confident and excited about the DCEU. I'm excited to see where it goes next. I want to see a Hawkman movie. I want to see another Black Adam movie. I want to see the DCEU moving forward. I'm very, very worried about The Flash, but if this movie is anything to go on, then I think even with all of the controversy surrounding around that film, we might still get a good movie out of it. So yes, guys, don't believe anything you've seen on Rotten Tomatoes. This is a good movie. This is a good movie. It's well written, fantastic action sequences. So guys, thank you so much for watching this review. If you enjoyed it, please give this video a like and do not be afraid to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I hope to see you guys again in another review.